Alright guys, I'm gonna give you guys a quick overview on the Gun Mage build, on what gear I use and also the skill tree that I'm currently using. First of all, let's go ahead and go to the armor first. What armor I should recommend to you guys. Basically, I recommend you guys using Elemental Version and Resilient. I'm pretty much really endgame at the moment. I'm pretty bissed out. But for those who can't afford this yet, 2 perk Biss is really good. Elemental Version Resilient. And I recommend you guys these perks for the weapons. Um, First of all is the exhaustive net shot. This is really good on the weapon itself. It has a higher percentage on the weapon, and it's good for chasing your enemies when you're trying to finalize the kill. It inflicts exhaust on them, and it also reduces stamina regen. So that's really good. Um, for the armor itself, for sure, Elemental Version Resilient. Recommending Empowering Fireball for more damage on this weapon perk, as well as Plague Splitting Grenades, because this actually helps you kill enemies because they inflict disease, and it does reduce healing efficiency for this amount. And the other weapon perk is the Refreshing Pillar of Fire. So the more enemies you hit with it, the cooldown is reduced. So max 2 hits. Currently I'm using, I believe, 3 Freedom. Only 2 elemental versions because I have refreshing on my pieces. I have 2 refreshings, and I'm also using Sharking Energy for the pants. So yeah, so 3 freedom, 2 refreshing, 2 elemental version. I'm hoping for more elemental version, but sadly I can't right now. And also 4 resilience, I believe. Yeah. And then for the amulet, I'm using stamina recovery, health, and thrust protection. Thrust protection mainly because of those spears and those bow players out there, because currently spear is kind of coming into the meta, or a lot of people are using spears right now because of the pretty good buff that it had. And also bow is still pretty strong, so I use thrust protection. If you guys can't afford this, go ahead and use the Champions Amulet. That can be earned by the PvP tracker if you do a lot of PvP. From OPRs, open world PvP, etc. I'll show you that right after I go with the ring. So this is what I'm using currently: fire damage, mortal empowerment, hardy. Mortal empowerment. If you're gonna look for Abyss ring, mortal empowerment and invigorated punishment is really good. I recommend invigorated punishment because now they fixed the bug. So now it's actually doing the correct amount of damage. I think it's supposed to be doing with that perk, invigorated punishment. But if you don't have this, also use the Champions ring as well. So Champions ring, it has invigorated punishment, hardy, and keen awareness. Keen awareness is actually pretty good with the fire staff because you will do more crits. So I think it's pretty good start to use with this one. And then also the Champions amulet, it has stamina recovery, health, and shocking power. So if you do dodge enemies attacks, you get empower, but I don't think it's the best perk, but you know, it's free, so go ahead and use this. If not, get a 2-perker with health and thrust protection. That's also going to be good. And because I'm here already, you can get this from OPR, from the cache. If you get lucky, and I pretty much think you will get this by a good chance. Wildfire Torch. This is pretty good too. Empowering Fireball, Enchanted, Keenly Powered. Just because right now I'm already in the storage, I can show you this. You can, if you get this, is a pretty good start. Fire Staff as well. The earring that I'm using is Healthy Toast, Refreshing Toast, and Regenerating. Healthy Toast because I also use Mana Toast. I also use Mana Potions. Healthy Toast gives you a pretty good amount of heals, at least 1,000 heals, I think. Refreshing Toast obviously because it reduces cooldowns. Potions cooldown 29% faster, and I also use Regenerating for that extra regen of health. It's like a regen potion basically. Then we go to the weapon. This is what I'm currently using: Flame Attunement, Exhaustive Net Shot, Enchanted. I recommend you getting a 2-perker. It's either Attunement with Exhaustive Net Shot. If you can get a 3rd perker, that would be fine. I recommend the 3rd perk to be Enchanted or Keenly Empowered. What I'm currently using for the fire staff is this. Honestly, Keen is really good. I like Keen Vicious. It just, the damage is so consistent. Keen Vicious, Flame Attunement. I like using this, especially because I already used the weapon perks on the armor. A lot of people use Empowering Fireball, Attunement, and then keenly empowered or vicious, I think. That's also good. If you're in a budget right now, keen, vicious, empowering fireball is also good. They probably range around 20k in the market, hopefully. That's what the last time I've seen it. But it's not more than 50k, I'm pretty sure. It's not more than that. That's a good one to use. And also keen, vicious, keen empowered is also a good budget fire staff. And the wildfire torch that you can get from OPR cache. And this is what I use: brutal heart rune of detonate for that really nice burst damage when you're targeting one enemy or a clump. You go in there and boom, you explode the clump. I'm using health pots, mana pots, regen pots, and then it's either hardy meal or whether I'm getting a lot of damage from elemental or physical, I change it up with gemstones or oak flesh. As for my resistance, this is what I'm currently using. I have 23% thrust damage resistance. I have 9% slash damage and strike damage resistance. I have 9.5% fire damage resistance, and then the other elemental resistance is at around 4.5%. Honestly, if I didn't have this opal right here, I would put another onyx, and then I would change this one as well to another onyx. Just because I do have some elemental aversions, I can probably get away with a little bit lower fire damage resistance. If not, I would just adjust to it as well. Normally the most threatening damage is either thrust damage or slash damage, and as well as fire damage. That's what you want to protect yourself against. So this is what I'm using for my gems to get that resistance. I am using fire, I'm using a ruby, I'm using opal, onyx, emeralds, and yeah, that's about it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 onyxes, 1 emerald. Yeah, 1 emerald, and then 2 opals, and then 1 fire, 1 ruby gem. And then this is I'm using cases as well for my gems. So when I put the case, it kind of reduces the resistance by a tiny bit, but then you increase your fire attacks by 2% damage. So yeah, that's what I'm using for each gem on the armor. I'm using an ignited gem, which clearly it increases your fire damage. Also, let's not forget about our buffs. What I usually used, especially for OPRs, since it's OPRs, you save some money from this. So I either use Desert Sunrise, because this is actually still cheap at a tier 5 level. This I would use Desert Sunrise. I would use either tier 3 or lower honing stones. So this is what I would use: common honing stones. And then I would also use, this is a lower level one. It's 33 constitution. Usually you'd use like the 40 constitution ones. The tier 5 ones provides you 40 additional attributes. So, but in my case, I'm just saving my money right now, so I'm just using the 33 constitution from the event. So if I pop this 33 con, then I would get at 150 constitution. The reason why I get to 150 is because I would have that minus 10% to critical damage taken. So you don't get any crits. You don't get any crits on you when enemies attack you. So you wanna reduce those crits. And then everything else goes into int. Everything else goes into int for that max damage on both your weapons. All right, and then we go to the skill tree. What I'm using is burnout, fireball, and pillar of fire. And what I've learned from using fire staff is that you want to stack smolders. Smolders are basically the whole like foundation of the fire staff damage. The damage of fire staff smolder. The reason why is because when you do light attacks and heavies, you inflict smolder. So this is like a dot damage, dealing 10% weapon damage per second. When you do light attacks and heavy attacks, you get smolder on the enemy. You put smolder on enemies with fireball, deal 10% weapon damage each second, and you also deal smolder on your enemies on burnout, deal 10% weapon damage each second for 6 seconds. And where was the other one? Dodging through enemy melee attacks inflicts smolder as well on your enemies. So stacking smolders is the play for fire staff, and that does lead up to the build to the point of burst damage. So with the combo, I like to start with at least 1 to 2 light or heavy attacks on the enemy to get them at least 60 to 75% health, and then I hit them with a fireball. I usually check their dodge counts, how much dodges they do, so that I know that I can hit the fireball pretty easily. Then once I hit this fireball, I get another smolder, right? And then usually I either follow up with a burnout or follow up with a pillar of fire. It just depends on the situation, how close I am, how far away I am. If he's pretty distant, I use burnout to catch him or close the distance, and then I lead it up to a pillar of fire. Pillar of fire, because now it has a higher, like, the radius is a little bit bigger now. They did decrease the damage on pillar of fire, I believe, but it's still pretty strong. Once you stack those smolders, pillar of fire deals 5% more damage for each stack of smolder on the target. So that's the reason why you want to follow up with pillar of fire, usually at the ending, so that extra burst damage. But as always, it always depends on situation and, you know, what's going on, you know, when you're fighting. Yeah, this is my skill tree. If you guys want to read it, go ahead and read it. As for the Blunderbuss tree, I max out net shot, Azov shrapnel blast, and splitting grenades. You can go ahead and read that on your free time and understand each point. And then on the chaos side, I choose artillery, buckshot, and feature planning. It's basically simple. If you read it, you just gain you know, reduce cooldowns and increase damage. And then I don't choose these ones because you gain fortify. You don't need fortify on a light build. Fortify is way stronger on a heavy or medium build. And then fight back, I'm kind of interested on if this is useful or not. 0.5% is pretty small, so I end up choosing future endeavors for that extra stamina per pellet hit. But also, this is like, you know, restore 1 stamina. You know, how much per pellet you hit? It's either 6 or 8, I believe. Was it 6 or 8? But anyways, yeah. Then I use deep load for another extra damage increase. And then we choose the last one on containment. And then Blunderbuss is mostly either I use Blunderbuss for my support and for my defense. If I'm chasing an enemy down or trying to slow them down, I always use net shot, because with the exhaustive net shot perk, it is so busted. I'm not even sure if they actually, you know, I feel like you need to nerf this ability or the perk itself, because it's hard to get away from someone who's chasing you down with net shot, especially when you're trying to recover. And then the combo I use when melee players try to close the distance is I like to use splitting grenades, and then I click on the ability again, and then I use shrapnel blast and a light attack. So there's so many things going on that, you know, if he doesn't have any dodges, there's a lot of damage going on him right there. And then, you know, net shot again for like an escape or chasing down an enemy. If you stand still or hold your S button like backwards, you go backwards. So it's like, you know, you can escape, use it in escape or chasing ability. And that's the reason why I also use plague splitting grenades, is because of those melee players. You know, you hit this, they get plagued. It's a guarantee that you can beat the guy, the melee player. Alright guys, that's basically the build for the Gun Mage build, the Fire Staff and the Blunderbuss combo. 96% of you guys are not subscribed, so if you guys are interested in my content or are enjoying my content, go ahead and hit your boy up, man, with that sub button. Gladly appreciate that, and thanks for the support. Hope you guys enjoyed this content. Peace and aloha.